How's it going, everybody? I am Donut. This is, of course, a Black Lives Matter, all cops are bastards, and trans rights supporting channel. You better be supporting that shit too, or you can get the fuck out of here. This is my reaction to Get Out. This is my reaction to Get Out. He is joining me here for the discussion, but I, like an idiot, accidentally deleted my original raw files after I had rendered the full length, so I don't have the little thing I recorded at the beginning saying, you know, my intro and everything, so I'm doing that now. So what did I know about Get Out going into it? Not really much, aside from the fact that it was, you know, very titular Get Out, getting out of a house. I knew it was about a black guy in a very, like, liberal, very, like, white house, you know, and that was what the horror movie was about. That's all I knew. If you want to see the full-length reaction, go check it out in the description below. There's only a full-length, so I'm not sure why I said that. Just go check it out in the description below. Come back here for the discussion. And yeah, yes, do that. So, discussion time.
Oh boy.
Woo! First off, right off the bat, let's talk about the cotton scene.
Okay, yes.
I think we should get that immediately off the bat because I feel like that's what everybody's going to comment about.
Yeah, so...
You've already explained this to me immediately off camera, like when I finished, but bring it up here. I'll let you say it.
Yeah, so when Chris is, like, biting the straps that are holding his arms down, like, that scene is supposed to also imply that, you know, he can get his head down to where he's pulling the cotton out of the...
Yes, and I had forgotten about that completely.
I mean, it's such a small thing.
But it is a perfect scene to, you know, show you that it is possible, and I missed it. I mean, not that I missed it, but that I didn't connect the two.
I mean, Get Out is written in a way where, like, you're definitely meant to watch it more than once, and every time you go, like, okay, now that I understand the twist, that makes sense, oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, yeah, it's a great puzzle movie that is, with also as short as it is, it's great for rewatching and stuff. I can't wait to watch Blind Wave's reaction to it and everything.
Yeah.
Even though I'm sure it's gonna be, I'm not sure I trust them to have a great take on this movie, but...
That said, though, like, I do think it is honestly really important for a movie that you are supposed to rewatch over and over again to also be relatively short.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I can't... There are so many good movies by great auteur directors where they are, like, done very well, but they're also, like, 3 hours long, and I can't bring myself to rewatch the whole thing over and over again. Like, I will watch bits and pieces, but that's not the intended experience, but also I can't sit through this for, like, 12 hours.
Exactly. Whereas, yeah, this being under 2 hours is a very brief, being able to just rewatch it and connect all the clues and everything. So, in addition, also, like, things that I wanted, brought back, you know, just explain to me the bingo scene. What was going on with the bingo scene? That's like one of the only things where by the end I feel like I still don't understand that. From what I understand about it, they were all sitting around. He kept putting up numbers, but not anything to insinuate like a bingo. And everybody already had their cards already filled out completely, like in a bingo, and. So, like, I was thinking, is this a thing where whoever wins the bingo card gets the body, essentially? But it does seem like they went after him and invited him specifically because of the blind guy. Like, the blind guy sought him out, got him there, and then, like, the girl, you know, what was her name, the main girl's name?
Oh, what is her name?
We should have written down all the characters.
Rose.
Rose. So, like, yeah, Rose gets them there, but, like, he was the one who picked out that guy. Who picked out the main character, I mean.
Yeah.
Really quick, hold on, before we continue, write down all these characters' names.
Oh, no!
So, okay, we got all the names down now. But, yeah, so what was going on with that scene? Because it did seem like, yeah.
So, that scene was supposed to, like, evoke both a slave auction and a silent auction.
Okay.
So it was a silent auction in that he was putting up numbers, and, like, the bingo cards didn't really matter. It was like, in a silent auction, you have, like, paddles, and you just hold up the paddle to say, yes, that one, or, you know, like, the number you are saying right now.
Yeah.
So, that's basically what it was.
Well, then why bingo cards?
Just so that they had an excuse to, you know, to say, like, you know, we're over here doing this. But it was hidden as bingo.
Okay.
And also, out of universe, it's supposed to be this very, like, you know, rich white thing to do. Like, oh, we're gonna go play bingo.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I think that was my main thing. Is like I didn't understand how the bingo was relevant at all, and it wasn't.
No.
I think that's just what tripped me up.
Yeah, it was just meant to be a slave auction.
Okay, then yeah, everything else makes sense. I think.
Yeah, and then I imagine the reason why people who weren't the blind guy were bidding at all was just because they have an option.
Yeah.
But he was dead set on it, so he would pay the most.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't thinking it was an auction at all because of the bingo thing. Like I assumed it was chance, which is what was weird to me. But now everything makes a lot more sense. I in all honesty, I feel like they could have done anything other than bingo, like any other board game, because bingo already has so much connotations in it with that.
True.
It's weird to do that up against an auction thing. Maybe I don't know what else I would have done it for. Maybe Hangman or something like that would have been maybe a little bit too literal, but like still, it's the bingo I think was a little bit weird.
Yeah, like there's a fair number of things in the movie that definitely have like a vibe to them, but if you look at them 100% literally, it's a little weird. You can definitely argue against it.
I'm not sure. I can't really think of anything else.
Like one thing is that there is a. Do you know what a 3-beat is?
No.
So a 3-beat is essentially in a narrative when you do the same thing 3 times. And first time you're kind of just like setting it up. Second time you show what it really is. The third time you subvert it.
Sure.
And now this is gonna feel weird. They do a 3-beat with flashes, where the first one is the deer in the headlights. So it's supposed to be like deer in the headlights gets hits, gets stuck, gets hits, and that is not a literal they put it under hypnosis, but just a this is also Chris, like he is the deer in the headlights. Then second time is. Yeah, the problem, yeah.
I know the other 2 times. That one I don't. I can see why they would say that, but I don't think that came across at all.
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty shaky. I'll give you that.
Yeah, as opposed to the cops. That whole scene makes a lot more sense in retrospect, where she doesn't want his name to run under the thing and everything, and that's why she was being so aggressive with the police.
Yeah, and it also sets up the the scene at the end where she's all like, "Yeah, this black man is assaulting me," and then it turns out no, not even a cop.
Yeah. Well, basically still a cop, but but yeah. I did, that part I understood, but the whole deer in headlights. I don't know. The deer, I think, is plenty thematic, but specifically deer in headlights, I can see what they're going for, and I think that it, I'm not saying that it's not there, but that when anybody watches this movie for the first time, I don't think anybody would connect that to being a 3-beat thing.
Sure.
And yeah, I do think the flashes were just weird in the movie.
Yeah, because I do remember in your reaction you were saying that a camera flash is very specific.
Yeah.
Essentially it uses a chemical reaction to create an extremely fast, extremely bright flash.
Yeah.
And camera flashes are not that. Camera flashes are just an LED that flashes a little bit to give off the same effect.
Yeah. So it's interesting that is the case. I thought we were going for something there. So I'm not sure Well, regardless of any of that, I just felt like the Flash was very weird as it felt like a plot device that, again, was only used, once. So, it was, in a, like, fighting sense, it was only used once, which didn't feel like, maybe that was supposed to be the 3-beat thing where I'm supposed to go, and now we're seeing it, in action or whatever, being subverted or whatever, but, I don't know, it just felt like, I was expecting it to be the thing of the movie, and it was the tiniest thing.
Right.
Yeah. And,
I think there's a general thematic thing you can also see of, a Flash gets him into trouble, a Flash lets him know that, he's, he needs to get out, and then at the very end, he uses a Flash to help himself get out.
Sure, yeah, I can see that very thematically. I think more what I mean is, as a mechanic, it's weird.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Thematically, I think the Flashes work fine. But yeah, and mechanically, I feel like it's weird to only use it once. And I don't know. I felt it was weird to end the movie where they did, but that's probably just me. And yeah, I will say, by the way, this is probably my favorite horror movie of all time. I will say. I am not generally a fan of horror movies, and there's so much of what I am not a fan of horror movies. The reason I'm not a fan of horror movies is broken so much through this movie. In terms of very, very little jump scares, it being entirely one perspective throughout the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
The main character being very smart, and not even the fact they're smart. Plenty of horror movies where the characters are smart, intelligent, whatever. A horror movie where the character is suspicious. And I feel like this movie really made me realize what I want out of horror movies and what I love out of certain other horror movies that I've seen that do similar stuff to this, but not as well. Which is having your main character be extremely suspicious. Like, having him be so much more suspicious than a normal person should be in this situation made it so much tenser. Because going into any horror movie, you know it's a horror movie.
Right.
So it is so hard to put yourself in that mindset of the character being like, well, they don't know it's creepy. Even if it's realistic, it's hard to put yourself in that place.
Yeah.
So to have a character that is in the same place you are, that's going, this shit is creepy. This is, I think that's why, honestly, scary movies, like Scary Movie 1, 2, all those, have some actually, like, good scenes in them because, it is a parody, so all the characters can be like, yeah, this is really weird, and then you can still have a creepy scene on top of that, even for it being a comedy movie.
Sure.
Which I can't believe I'm saying that, but...
Okay, so let me hit you with this. The title of the movie is a reference to a bit from Eddie Murphy's 1983 stand-up special, Delirious.
Okay.
Specifically, he was making a joke about horror movies in general, but specifically about Amityville Horror, which is a haunted house horror movie.
Yeah.
Where he says, you can't make a horror movie with black people. Because if, the Amityville Horror, if a ghost shows up in the house and they're like, we're going to buy this house, and the ghost says, get out, that black people would go, we're getting out.
Yeah.
At the first sign of, this is bad, we're going to leave.
I do know of that bit.
Yeah.
I when you first started bringing it up, I was like, what? But then I was like, oh, yeah, I do remember this, but yeah.
Yeah. Jordan Peele deconstructs that a little bit because one of the big themes of the movie is... social pressure.
Yeah. I will also say, by the way, as a fan of Key and Peele, there's a lot of sketches Key and Peele does about specifically that. Just about horror movies with black people, as the main character, and how insanely different that would be because they don't take there's not that inherent curiosity that white people have of everything's going to be fine if I just go check this out. The only time he had that was, I feel like, the crawl space.
Sure.
And that was the only point where I was like, boy, what are you doing? This is some white people shit. Why are you doing this? But yeah, aside from that.
But yeah, the problem, the reason why Chris is here is not because he doesn't realize all this stuff isn't creepy. It's because there is an inherent social contract of, I like this girl, I want to, leave a good impression on her parents. Her parents are weird, but also they're rich and white, and, I don't understand some of this stuff for real, so you know what? This might be fine. I might be making a big deal out of it. Yeah. I'm gonna just, lower my head and push on.
Absolutely.
And the family uses that so much as an actual weapon. Even when the jig is up, he's seen the photos, and he's standing in the foyer.
Yeah.
There's still, as a viewer, I didn't, think he was seriously going to be like, okay, it's fine. But clearly the family is banking on the idea that maybe, knowing everything, he's still not going to say anything. Because socially, that'd be, really awkward.
What if it's all misunderstanding?
Yeah.
And it's as bad as it gets, that is, what goes through your mind. And it's terrifying. And, as much as I can relate to this movie, of course it is always going to be a gargantuanly big gap between, an actual black person. But, I don't know why I said an actual black person, I have any semblance of black enemy.
I do think the movie does, invite you to look through the eyes of, it is a horror for black people in America.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is extremely relatable, but at the same time, you can't 100% be in that perspective.
Yeah.
But you can be, fairly in there.
Yeah, I can empathize as much as I can, but I can never fully understand the full grasp of the situation.
Yeah.
And, there's going to be plenty of times throughout the discussion I'm going to try and relate to it, but I just want to, make it clear that I understand where I'm coming from and, that I would never be able to fully understand.
Yeah, I did want to bring this up.
Yeah.
Right now we live in COVID times.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad is, I hope, using a mask, but I've
seen him not.
And we specifically went out one time, we saw him, and he was just talking to someone who was wearing a mask, and he wasn't.
2 people were in a mask, and he wasn't.
Yeah.
And yeah, that on top of also just your family being very upper class for legitimate reasons.
Sure.
You guys save a lot of money. You are extremely fiscal. You are very for lack of a better word, penny pinching.
Yeah.
Whereas I have always grown up not extremely poor, but definitely lower middle class or just lower class at a lot of... I've definitely been in really bad situations plenty of times, but for the most majority of my life, probably lower middle class.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, my family is also the kind of family who... my parents will get the taxes in and then immediately spend all of it instead of like saving any of it, and it's immediately like, okay, well, this is gift money, like, you know, we're gonna buy you a present, we're gonna buy you a present, everybody gets a tax present, and it's like, yeah, we're very bad with the money. But so there's so much stuff that, you know, I feel insanely judged about like that, and just, you know, the fact that I understand that I am always going to be, they're always going to be looking at me a certain way because of, you know, where I've come up from. Yeah, and I think, yeah, there's definitely some struggle there, but it's not as bad as plenty of other stuff.
For sure. But yeah, like, rewatching this movie, and, you know, being with you for a year in the same house physically together, there were a lot of times where I was like, you know, like, we're not going to kill him, but I definitely see shades of, you know, this, you know, awkward family dinner, this awkward scene where it's like, yeah. Like, the specific face that I am going to use for my thumbnail, like the one where he was, like, talking with Georgina, because that was, like, the best fucking scene in the whole movie. That face, I feel like I make constantly, and that is... like me. Like, I am somebody who smiles in the face of terror and nervousness, which is definitely growing up around family members who are exactly like this family. My extended family, which is like my step-grandfather and then my actual grandmother and everything. Their daughter is around my age. So, like, my aunt is around my age, and we grew up as, like, really, really close. Like, almost like sister and brother. And that family is... I mean, it's just exactly like this, and so having to deal with the constant, you know, yelling at me and the constant belittling of me, and especially the most like passive aggressive kind of ways about it and everything. And from various stuff like my aunt dating a boyfriend who is exactly like Jeremy in this movie, like, oh, so exactly like Jeremy, and to the point of like I didn't like experience like any like racism or anything like that from their family because they were all extremely white, but my aunt, like, I honestly have separated myself from that family entirely, so I don't know if she's still dating this guy or not. They were for years, but I have not spoken to any of that family for a long time. Cut them off completely. But anyway, she dated an Arabic guy for many years. Maybe he's still dating them. I don't know. But and he was extremely racist towards them all the time, in the way like this movie where you can't call them out on it. Right.
You know, so much of the what what did he say? The my guy, or the my man. That's the specific wording. My step-grandma uses that all the time, only towards minorities. That's it. That's always what it is. And so much of like the dinner table stuff, or like the I bet you must be really strong, and you know, or like tell me everything about what is your entire culture like based off you, the one person I know. So much extremely bad shit like that my aunt also, like Rose, will just sit there and be like, oh, he means well, you know, or like, you know, won't really say anything, and it's like, it's an extremely awkward situation to be in, and I cannot imagine it being I don't want to use his name, but I also feel weird saying that Arabic guy, but either one feels weird to me. I don't want to use his name, and I don't want to just, you know,
right,
but either way, I can imagine how bad it would be for him. Like, that was, ugh. Yeah. To be fair, he was like the most kind, nice person I ever met, and I don't think he would have even... I legitimately think he was the kind of person to not even realize that he was being racist. Like, he was like the nicest person you ever meet. Like, he's fantastic. But continue with your notes. I've been rambling for a bit.
I did want to say, like, branching off of that,
sure,
that Jordan Peele made a very specific choice to make this be about liberal white racism. Like, that was his term. And I really appreciate that, as opposed to, like,
conservative white racism, like the easy stuff.
It's so unbelievably easy. I could write a horror movie in a day about a bunch of redneck white racists from the Deep South who kidnap a black man.
Yeah.
But this is so much more insidious because it is so much more like, it's harder to call out, it's harder to make people understand how bad it is. And I really appreciate how uncomfortable so much of the movie is. Like, they do, like, the directing goes to such great lengths to put you in Chris's shoes and make you understand, like, this isn't just awkward. This is, it does feel awful, but at the same time, socially, you can't say, stop that, or that's real messed up.
Yeah, that is the worst part about it, is that, like, no matter what, you can't, like, unless, if he had, like, Rod there, if he had, like, that's when he was so happy to see Andre was that guy, right? Like, you know, to have somebody else there that can back you up, and, like, he wanted to just be like, look at these crazy white people. Yeah. Like, he's tried so many times that every time it was that, like, you know, it's also that feeling of the black people who are fully like, there's no racism here. What are you talking? Systemic racism doesn't exist. You know, it's that sort of thing of like, look at these crazy white people and like, whoa, what are you talking about? The white people are fine. You're the racist. And it is a nightmarish scenario. Like, yeah, where the whiteification of blackness is just becoming more and more as time goes on.
It is such a powerful body snatchers moment to see Andre at the party acting completely like unrelatable. He's walking around, he's like, you know, turning his body around, and everyone's like, oh yeah, nice body. Yeah, dude, I could not believe that was the same guy from the beginning. That's like, going back to look at it at the end, it's like, god damn, they did such an amazing job with that makeup. Yeah, I have some problems with the opening narratively, as do you.
Yeah,
but I do think, like, especially on a rewatch and knowing, that's Andre. Like, his such a strong combo. It's such a strong 1-2 punch.
Again, it's something that really works on a rewatch. Yeah. But, like all horror movies, stop it with the cold opens. No horror movie should be allowed to have a cold open. They can't do them well. I thought this one was going to do... I complimented this cold open very much, but that's because I thought the movie was going in a very different direction. Right. So, in retrospect, having watched the whole movie, I would have not had that cold open in there. It adds that moment where they go like, no, dude, that is Andre, you know, and everything. But... I don't think it is worth it. I just never feel like the someone getting attacked in the beginning of the movie, and then, you know, you go into that house or you go into that place or whatever, and then that person is there. It's such a classic trope that, you know, I'm surprised I didn't pick up on it. I was so sure that it was the main character, like, throughout the whole thing. Right. Like, my theory going into most of the movie was that was not an in media res, or well, that was a in media res thing. Like, we are going to see that at the end of the movie. Like, he's going to get out of this whole situation, and then it's going to be a thing of he's going to date some other chick, and you know, someone else kidnaps him because it's so different. Sure. Like, the way that Andre gets kidnapped is so different from everything else because it's also in the suburban neighborhood rather than bringing him to the place before they do anything.
It's something where, like, I do like the. Like, again, a big part of it is, you know, subverting expectations and making you feel, you know, for a black person being terrified in America. Yeah. It is the exact opposite of a white girl going to, you know, the bad part of town. It is a black guy in the good part of town being kidnapped.
Yeah, I mean, it does set the tone for the movie.
Like, I understand from a directorial perspective why this works so well and why, like, I definitely imagine everyone on board was like, yeah, this is a great scene. We gotta do it.
Yeah, but, and it's also, to be fair, immediately, scene one, I immediately understood why it got, like, a comedy, you know, thing. That scene is so perfectly the, like, a Rorschach test. Of, like, I can see so many people watching that and laughing at, like, you know, it is a little bit funny in some way. Like, all of Get Out has comedic aspects, but I can see so many people taking that scene away as a purely comedic scene, as a, like, haha, that would never happen. Oh, yeah. But... Yeah, I think, also, was this movie solely nominated for a comedy, or, like, was it also nominated for horror stuff?
I didn't look that up specifically. I can.
But, because, like, I can see why it was nominated for a comedy, but if it was only nominated for a comedy, that's insane. Because, I will say, again, this is also one of the most, like, the funniest horror movies I have, like, seen. As opposed to one that is trying to be a comedy, you know? Because... I think, I don't know, like, it's because I think the dialogue is very realistic, and because the dialogue is very natural, that so much of it is funny because it is naturally funny as it would be in real life. Or just like that extremely nervous comedy where something is funny because you know that you're doomed and there's no way out of it. I don't know if that makes sense, but either way, that is what I felt.
Yeah, it got so many nominations and awards across like tons of things. It seems like most of them are like most of them are like, you know, just best actor, best feature, best director.
Yeah.
There are a few that are comedy, and then there's like one or two that are like, you know, best sci-fi script.
Sci-fi, I mean, I guess, but
vaguely,
super vaguely.
Sci-fi horror. The big one that everyone was talking about was Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy from the Golden Globes, which was, you know, a nomination.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, yeah, I can see it.
I can... it just feels weird that that's what it was the primary thing. Like, if it was, like... if it was one of the smaller ones, sure, but the fact that it's the primary thing that they were getting nominated for. Yikes.
Yeah. I mean... To be fair, they got a lot of, like, you know, best original screenplays and stuff, too.
Sure, but I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that they don't think it's still a comedy.
True.
So, what else do you have in your notes?
Okay. Specifically that, like, this movie is on the side of unrepentant black violence. Like, once violence is an option. Like, up until that point, also, it's never a thing of, like, Chris is a bad person for using violence. It is, like, he keeps on waiting far beyond the point when he was justified.
Yeah.
Because, you know, because of that initial pressure, that societal energy of, I can't do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But once he starts, the movie never frames it as, this is bad. Even when he thinks, you know, a cop is stopping him, that is not the movie saying, and now he's getting what he deserves. You know, this is the comeuppance thing. This is expressly he was completely right to do this, and now he's going to be unfairly stopped.
Yeah.
And then, you know, your breath comes back when it's like, okay, that's not even a cop.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that is such a good scene there at the end, with Rod showing up.
Like, I was reading an article recently about how, in a lot of horror movies, in addition to the classic, you know, black guy dies first, a lot of movies have this trend of, if the black guy doesn't die first, or if there are multiple black people, black guys tend to not be allowed, you know, in a meta-narrative sense, to use violence unless a white person uses violence first.
Oh, yeah. Very, very obvious in horror movies.
Yeah. So there is that inherent tiny, you know, expectation, if you are a horror movie buff, of, well, of course, Chris has to be completely non-violent.
Also, to be fair, it is usually the, like, I would say the ending for a lot of horror movies is white woman gets dragged away by the guy again, and black dude, like solves the situation but gets arrested in the end.
Yeah.
Like, that is, like, a big trope, you know, in them. Yeah, is like, yeah, it's fucked up. But, like, shit, what was I saying? I hate in movies so much whenever a character kills somebody out of, not even just out of self-defense, but out of, like, literally, they are being killed, and then they kill somebody, even if they didn't even mean to, and then they feel really bad about it.
Right.
Because it's like, if you want me to care, if you want to have the storyline of the, I killed somebody, and now that's really going to rest on my soul, make it mad. You know, you can't have it be, like, the worst person ever.
Yeah.
You know? You can't have it be murderers that I'm supposed to be like, you shouldn't have killed that murderer.
The only time I've ever been okay with that has been in horror movie sequels. Because then in the main movie it is, I'm fighting this alien and I'm going to kill it. And then in the sequel, the main character has, like, PTSD. And it's very clear, like, okay, sure. Like, we don't have to deal with it being immediate in the moment. Oh no, I can't kill this alien.
But even then, I would so much rather it just be PTSD from the whole movie rather than PTSD from them killing somebody.
Sure.
Like, I feel like the whole situation would have gotten them way worse stress than that.
Yeah, I do think that is a weakness when, you know, they go see a therapist and the therapist doesn't go, that was a real screwed situation. Instead, they are saying, it was really bad that you committed murder.
Yeah. How dare you kill that evil clown that was trying to murder you and all your family?
If you kill an evil clown, that makes you just as bad as the evil clown that murders people. But yeah, very glad that Get Out does not do that at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Very, very glad. And man, it was such a powerful scene when Rose was, because, like, throughout the whole movie, I feel like everybody had to be suspecting Rose so much throughout the whole movie. And then at the scene where they're like, okay, we'll leave, we can go home. And like, they fully at that point got me to go, okay, I don't think Rose is bad. I think Rose is legitimately good.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, she has some powerful, like the rest of the family is so bad at acting.
Oh yeah.
It's very understandable why Rose needs to do this.
Yeah, like I do really like that. Clearly, the family has done this a lot of times.
Yeah.
Like, you can definitely tell, like, the first time around is just, they're weird people, I guess. But, on subsequent watches, it's very clear that, like, they're just so used to it. And, like,
I feel like even on a first watching, it's pretty odd. Like,
Sure.
Like, the dinner scene, I feel like is very obvious what's going on. I feel like from that point, most of the audience should understand generally what the movie is going to be from that point. And like, obviously I had a very different idea of what everything was going to happen. But the idea of like, okay, at that point, they are sizing him up because they want something with him. I thought it was like a hunt, like they wanted to hunt him down or something.
Okay.
But I feel like it's very obvious that they have done this multiple times before and they are sizing him up.
Yeah. I think there's also a layer between like Rose is the best at being an actress because she has to get close to them, and because like she does let herself get into that role of being the girlfriend for many months.
I mean, and she is like a black chaser. Like she is like she likes fucking black dudes because that's like just a fetish for her. Like it's not just that it's like a means to an end. Like she is also getting like sexual gratification out of it.
Yeah. And like she keeps the photos of them.
Yeah, and oh my god, by the way, I like the scene was so like just to establish she was wearing headphones, but man, I love how creepy the scene is of her eating the cereal,
the Fruit Loops,
the Fruit Loops in a drying bowl, and then drinking the milk.
They've talked about that scene quite a bit. Like, because there is the obvious, like, it is Fruit Loops. It has to be because the colors don't mix. If you... She eats the Fruit Loops one by one, and she drinks the milk separately out of a glass.
I wasn't even thinking of that. I don't know. Like, I legitimately don't think that you can do a scene in anything, movie, TV show, whatever. I don't think you do a single scene of a white person drinking milk that isn't creepy. I don't think it's physically possible. Like, we look at even like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with like the McPoyle brothers and everything.
Oh yeah.
Like what is it about milk that is specific? What is it about white people drinking milk that's so creepy?
Now, I need to tell you that what I'm about to say was not a thing in the movie itself.
Okay.
This happened simultaneously as the movie was being developed. But of course, white supremacists did come up with the concept of milk drinking as a form of white supremacy. Yeah?
Oh my god, I actually did completely forget about the like milk emoji fucking thing going around.
Because of course, milk is pure white, and of course, lots of people like being able to consume milk is not a pure human thing.
Yeah.
White people can do it, some other races can as well, but like a lot of white supremacists were like, we're going to use drinking milk as a like white supremacy symbol.
I mean, isn't milk bad for you? Isn't it poison?
It's not poison. But it is like, it is a like, all humans can drink milk when they're babies, and some people grow out of it, some don't. Milk is very good at, just being a source of fat and calcium and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I do love my chalky milk, don't get me wrong. I like my chalky milk.
But yeah, like, there's also famously Shia LaBeouf doing his "He Will Not Divide Us" thing, where like he had a live stream going on in a corner of LA.
Yeah, what does that have to do with milk?
White supremacists would photobomb it and like bring in jugs of milk and drink the milk in front of it. And Jordan Peele has said, jokingly, "Oh yeah, I planned for that." But he has also said, like, in truth, that scene was devised with the concept of, it is really creepy for, to watch her drink milk. There is the symbolism of her eating Fruit Loops. Colors don't mix. Like, all of that was intended, but the white supremacy thing just kind of happened to line up with Get Out coming out. And it does add to it.
It definitely does add to it. That is insane.
And it is also, like, in addition to all of that, it's supposed to symbolize, like, she is a weird, like, woman child.
Oh, yeah, like, she is definitely stunted in big ways.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, on a very broad view, you can see how most guys look at that and go, like, yeah, that's, that's kind of hot. It's sort of the, younger girl fetish. But the movie slowly peels back from it until you see, like, this is real fucking weird that she's this old and she's still looking, she's still, like, just sipping her milky.
Yeah, and to be fair, I'm so glad that at the end this is what it was, because, like, I was worried for Jordan Peele. We just watched Keanu, which had so much straight propaganda in it, that this one I was also worried about, like, man, am I supposed to like this girl or something? Because, like, the whole movie, I'm just like, man, I really don't know why he's dating this woman. She's so just annoying.
Yeah.
But, yeah. All right, what's your next point here?
That Jeremy is, I mean, clearly, like, if, of the hierarchy of the family, you got Rose is the most adept at doing this. She's fine with it. She likes black guys. Yeah. Then the parents are in the middle.
The mom, then dad.
Sure.
Like, there's a gap between them.
Yeah, which I think also, like, her mom is a psychologist. She's got the hypnosis thing. Like, she has to be able to relate to people. She has to be able to look at them and, break through to them and put them in, the sunken place.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely.
Which, that's a really cool name, by the way.
It is.
Is that, like, a reference to anything specific, or is that just something he came up with?
It's something he came up with, and then, like, as the movie was coming out, he also said on Twitter, the sunken place is, where all black people are.
Yeah.
Like, that is, that's what happens to you when you live in, especially, like, white American society.
Yeah, like, it's such a great visual where you're so far back looking at it. Like, you are watching it. You can see everything that your eyes can see. It's not like he is, like, the perspective is closing or anything. Like, he can see everything his eyes can see. He just feels so far back and like he can't do anything about it.
One of my only regrets is that I did not catch Get Out when it was in cinemas, because I didn't get to it, and also I figured, like, this isn't like a sci-fi movie or anything. I don't think it's going to be super cool, but I really do want to see the sunken place scene in 3D. Or, like, because I do imagine, like, that feeling of falling backwards would be enhanced. Sure. I don't know if anything else in the movie would be, but...
Not really a fan of 3D, but yeah. Maybe.
Maybe. So... Jeremy is definitely the least into it. He doesn't care. He's done it so many times.
Yeah.
He's just actively sizing up Chris. And that does play into, you're dating someone, they have a brother, their brother just immediately starts sizing you up. Like,
oh, yeah. Like, I've been in that situation. Exactly. Like, not like, where, like, sizing me up or anything, but just, with that, like, extremely shitty older brother who, is super aggressive and all that. Okay. Oh, it's the worst.
There is one tiny bit of, not even trivia really, but, like, when he's talking to Chris, he does immediately start saying, like, yeah, you're really buff and strong, you could definitely, be strong in a fight. And Chris says, I prefer to, think things out.
Yeah.
And then that is reflected in their fight near the end of the movie.
Yeah, where he, like, does the kicking twice and then third time stab in the leg.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Also, what the fuck was Jeremy thinking? Like, was Jeremy like, I can't wait to fight Jim, the blind guy? Like, what was that their plan? Was he like, hey, when you get this body, I'm gonna... Honestly, I guess it wasn't sure who was gonna get the body at that point at the dinner. Yeah. So it would just be, I don't care who gets this body, I'm going to fight them.
I mean,
what is his deal?
Yeah, I mean, because I also do 100% believe that this group of crazy white supremacists / like, just body snatchers would definitely, like, Jim would say, I want this guy because he is perfect for me. Yeah. And then they would just be like, well, I have more money, so I'm just going to take him and you're going to watch me in his body. I don't care.
You're going to watch me do MMA in his body.
Or rather, you're not going to watch me, you're still blind.
I'm going to describe doing MMA in this guy's body to you. But yeah, I don't know what his fucking plan. Like, it doesn't seem like... It's also like they don't want the bodies themselves, I don't think. It doesn't seem like it.
No, it seems like after they got Walter and Georgina's body, they were done.
Yeah. Like, maybe when they grow older. This camera a little bit.
True. I mean, they are also getting a bit older, so they might be, like, not actively trying to get more bodies, but every time someone comes in, they might be like, hey, you want that one?
Yeah. Because, yeah, they are, like, the ones running it, essentially.
Yeah. Which, again, like, on a rewatch, it's really cool seeing all the Walter and Georgina scenes, knowing that that is the family's grandmother and grandfather.
Yeah.
There's a really...
Especially the bedroom scene. Like, rewatching that one was...
There's a really clever line where they're talking about how, like, after our parents passed, I couldn't bear to let them go. And you like, the scene is definitely structured as, we couldn't bear to let Walter and Georgina, these people working for us, go. But it is very clearly, we couldn't bear to let our grandparents go, so... just kept them.
I gotta say, though, like, the grandmother and grandfather... super weird. Like, in universe, the weirdest people in the fucking world. What is wrong with them? Like, they were just intentionally being the creepiest people possible. And I don't know why. Like, that's the only, like, suspension of disbelief I had to do. It's like, a lot of the characters in this movie just were creepy for their own sake. Like, they were just like, I want it to be spooky. I like spooking them. Yeah, which, I mean, to be fair, like, that could just be what it is. Like, they're just like, I just like spooking the black guys before you take their bodies. I don't know why, but...
I mean, Walter, or rather, the grandpa, lost a race with a black man. He lost the race. Now he wants to run around and show how fast he is and also spook black guys.
Yeah.
I guess, sure.
In all honesty, I gotta say, I'm going to say it in this discussion, but back when I was watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., back in season 1, there was a group who was like and alluding to like a white supremacist group, but it was we want to, like, kill these aliens and then take their powers, that way we have the powers and we can be aliens. And it was weird. I was like, that's their thing? Like, as opposed to, like, we want to kill all these aliens, it was like we want to just be the aliens. But, I get it now. That was realistic.
Yeah.
I get it. It's a thing that's not possible on Earth now, but if it was, that probably would be happening the exact same way.
Yeah. Like, again, big theme of the movie is completely devaluing black minds, but fetishizing black bodies.
Yeah.
And I do think that is also something we don't talk about a lot. Like, there's this inherent idea of, how can this guy who owns a baseball, or like a football team that is all black, be racist?
Yeah.
Look at all the black guys he's paying millions of dollars. But it's like, well, this dude's also a billionaire, and he is underpaying these guys, and he is also making most of his money based on these black guys. That he kind of, like, he's not... Like, when you get into millionaires and billionaires, it's not exactly exploitation, but there is this very clear, like, weird feeling of, this is a billionaire white man who owns these black guys.
Yeah, I mean, it is clear, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, we just finished, I just finished Inhumans on the channel. We did a discussion about that, and in that we were talking about how, all the Inhumans cast is white, and then they make one of them black. Gorgon, the, like, strong muscle man one.
Yeah.
Because of course they do. And it's that sort of shit where it's like you buy the slave because it's the strong slave, and then now you're like, oh, there's no more racism because we made the strong man black.
Yeah, the strong, dumb meathead guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And that sort of, like, whether it is like sexual fetishization, whether it is like a look, we're being progressive. We now have, like, a black, strong, dumb superhero. And, very shit like that, where it's just, like, it's entirely performative, and, you're completely missing the point entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then at the same time, it's like, you're like, what do you want to have, only weak black characters? Like, Chris is a dope-ass, strong black dude here, but he's not, like, fetishized as being, like, this giant, huge, towering black dude.
Yeah.
It's like, he's not like, what they were going with Walter. Like, why he picked Walter's body, like, that was the very first thing I noticed, and I was like, they got this, why does this groundskeeper look like a football player?
Yeah.
Like, that is suspicious to me. And, like, they're you can fetishize it in so many different ways, is what I'm saying, I guess.
Sure.
With the, black is in, or black is in fashion.
Oh, God, yeah.
Which, oh, man. I mean, the amount of people who, will say, like, Black Lives Matter and then just be completely racist is, like, that person entirely.
Yeah, like, I do think there is something there with Rod being, like the fat black best friend is itself its own sort of trope.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I appreciate the idea of it being like, this guy is mostly his mind, and he's also a comedic character that, when I first saw the movie, I didn't really expect him to come in clutch. I figured he was just like, oh yeah, he's the funny best friend guy.
Okay. I like, knew that. I will say, like, I felt like that was pretty obvious throughout the whole movie. Like, I was really expecting, like, okay, so when is the point in which Rod shows up? Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that is such a big trope in horror movies in general.
Yeah.
That's how I would say, like, 70% of horror movies end with the, like, friend character showing up to save the day.
Mm-hmm.
But never stops making it a nice moment, but it's kind of predictable.
And to be fair, it's tough to not make it super tropey.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Because also, you don't want to spend, like, 50% of the movie with the main character and some other guys, and it's not horror-based.
Yeah.
You gotta do the math at some point.
And I'm glad we didn't spend a whole lot of time with, like, Rod or, like, if this was another movie, we would have had 30 minutes at the beginning of exposition with Rose and Rod and their normal life and all that. It's like, we got, like, 5 minutes of that, and it's like, that's it. I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So, what else did you want to say?
The last thing I really wanted to say is just that there is no white savior in this movie, and that was also a very deliberate choice of a white savior cannot dismantle racism.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that white people can't help, it's that, by the very nature of it, like, black people have to be the ones who take out, like, specifically, black-focused racism.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it is our job to, well, I mean, well, not you, but I mean, it is my job to, amplify the voices of black people rather than trying to take that stage myself.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, same, I'm not black.
Yeah, but I mean, you have more, reason than I do. You are a person of color.
Yeah. But yeah, so, I mean, because it is a Jordan Peele movie, I didn't expect a white person to show up at the very end and be like, hey, I'm gonna save you!
Also, this does feel weird that I'm giving all my relatability to it, whereas the person of color in here is not.
It's because we do have this weird mix of, you lived, like, in a, like, both economically poorer area, and also you've just hung out with more black people.
Yeah, I mean...
Whereas paradoxically, I'm a guy of color, but at the same time, I have lived with much fewer black people, and I do relate more with the evil family in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have had a much more better upbringing, like a more classic upbringing. You have had a white upbringing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There's no better way to say it other than you have had a white upbringing.
And I will say, like, that does mean that, in this movie, there's a lot where I've looked at it and I've been like, yeah, that's me. I gotta dismantle this.
Yeah.
Like, I am also very passive in a lot of situations where I cannot be passive, where I should, I have the privilege of being able to be in areas with a bunch of, like, upper-class people talking about stuff and, saying racist stuff. Yeah. And for a while, I haven't been talking about that. Or when I do, it is a very, like, it does stop the conversation and it does work, but then I'm not emboldened. I just go, like, oh, yeah, that was kind of awkward, though. Yeah. But no, I should be more, like, proactive in saying, guys, this is real fucked.
Yeah, you got to. You absolutely got to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I cut off some of my family. Like, I'm done dealing with you. You're going to deal this way, I'm done dealing with you. Mm-hmm. Family ain't shit. But yeah, do you have any other notes?
No. Basically everything else I wrote is stuff we've covered.
Okay. I wanted to talk about Chris and his mom and everything. We didn't touch on that yet.
Yeah.
I thought that was really powerful. Mm-hmm. Like, extremely powerful. Yeah. I didn't, like, cry during it or anything, but I was definitely extremely emotionally enwrapped in that, more so than I expected at all. Like, going into it, I was like, okay, we're doing this thing. Again, classic trope we do in all horror movies, or just a lot of stuff in general where it's like they have this tragic past that we are going to touch on. It's most of the thing with horror movies, because it also gives them reason to hesitate for things and certain things like that. Mm-hmm. But they nailed it. Yeah. Like, there are so many versions of this kind of thing that fall hollow, or there's so many versions where it's like, yeah, I understand why you would do this as a kid. Like, it's you gotta learn. Like, this is one of those things where no matter how old he got, no matter how old he would get, I don't think you could ever forgive yourself for this.
Yeah.
Nor almost should you, because it is your fault, and you can't. There's no semblance of saying, like, well, any other kid would have done the same. Because that's not even true.
Yeah. I mean, that is one of the dark things of reality where, like, people will tell you, like, you know, you gotta get over it or you gotta forgive yourself. And I do think, you know, on some level, you gotta forgive yourself for some things, but at the same time, forgiveness does not mean forgetting.
Yeah.
Like,
and forgiving does not mean saying that it wasn't your fault.
Yeah. Like, there are things where you have to accept, like, yeah, that is probably a part of my mind. I have to work through it. And if that is a part of me, I need to be aware of that, or else it's gonna happen again.
Yeah, and it almost did happen again.
Yeah.
He was hesitating. But, yeah, I mean, I say that even though it's still, he got out way before any fucking white character would have. But, yeah, it was very, very well done. Like,
yeah.
Super brutal. Super not something I wanted to think about, but I'm glad they forced me to.
God. And, like, the framing around the scene is also so strong, because it is this, like, he walks out in the middle of the night, and she's pushing him, and I've been in that situation before, where this is unnatural, or, like, I shouldn't be in this situation, but I can't dissect it, or I can't step back and say, why are you talking about this, or how do you even know about this?
Yeah.
Like, she just draws him in. She is so genuinely good at being a, like, manipulative, evil psychologist.
Yeah, like, she is. She knows exactly how to push all of his buttons, how to get him where she wants him.
I just find it so existentially terrifying to think of being in that situation and knowing that there's, like, I've got problems, I got trauma. If I was in that room with her for, like, 5 minutes, she would tear me apart and I'd be in the sunken place.
Yeah, and you know what? I would be as well, because, boy, like, okay. My mom got in a car crash before she had, or... Boy, I'm actually trying to remember this time frame. I think it was before she had me. Got real messed up. Her leg is still, like, messed up from it. She has a ton of metal all in her leg and everything. But she crashed her car, was stuck in the car, like, with the, like, pieces of the car stuck into her leg, pinning her there. Like, off the road, like, in snow and everything like that. 4 hours.
Jesus Christ.
Before somebody eventually found her and got her to the hospital and everything like that. And like, knowing that, every time she went grocery shopping, every time they went anywhere and I was in the house, as opposed to this where it's like a, you know, oh, she said she would be back at this time, like there was this, you know, whatever. My mom was the kind of person who would go out grocery shopping. She might come back in an hour. She might come back in 6 hours. I have no idea. It really depends. And so I would have no idea, like, you know, well, it's been 5 hours. My mom might still be grocery shopping. She might have crashed the car and be dead on the side of the road. I don't know.
Right.
And I had no way of really knowing, because it's like, what am I going to do? Call the cops, and then it's, you know, they're going to be like, well, she's grocery shopping. And yeah, thankfully nothing ever happened or anything, but just, I definitely relate to the every single time, you know, I mean, I have done the same to you, to be fair. At one point, you went out to, like when we were in a long distance relationship, and you went out to a concert or something, or something with your parents.
Sure.
And you were like, oh, it's gonna be like an hour or whatever, and then your phone died while you were there.
Right.
And then you like got home. It took you forever to charge your phone and everything, and the entire time I was fully convinced that you were dead, like just 100%. Fully panic about all that. Yes, I can fully relate to. I mean, I can't fully relate, but I can partial relate to the fear of that, and you know, the reality of that situation. I can't imagine. But as a kid, sitting there and being like, "This might have happened," and you know, not doing anything. And I think that's what really, like, why that scene hit me so hard is because I had to face the reality of what if that actually did happen, and I was the one who caused that to happen because I didn't do anything.
Right.
Because I was in that situation. Thank God that I didn't have to live with the reality of what Chris has to.
Seriously, yeah.
But, and I mean, there are times where it could have happened. There are times when my mom got like, we went and bought a car from somebody, and we, like, drove it around in the parking lot, and drove it around for, like, 5 minutes, and came back, and we're like, yeah, the car works fine. And then after we drove it for another like 20 minutes, we realized, oh, okay, like this is like, you know, the classic thing where somebody sells you a car and make sure that it's like, okay, it's gonna work for this amount of time. And so we were on the highway, red light, hit the brakes. Oh, brakes don't work at all. So we had to swerve between 2 lanes of traffic to go into a parking lot before we, like, you know, because we were going like fucking 40 miles an hour. Right. And we had to go into the parking lot and then just keep circling and circling and circling until we slowed down. Fuck. And another time when I wasn't in the car. Completely different car. This is actually the reason we had to buy that car. She was in the car with my sister, was going down a road, brakes stopped working, and it was like she was going down like a crossroad like this, like it was like a 4-way intersection sort of thing, and she just had to go right through it as cars were going by because there was no brakes and it was downhill.
Dear God.
Gotta love being poor. So, yeah.
So, slight change of subject, actually. Yeah. There is one more piece of trivia I wanted to say, which is that Keegan-Michael Key has a cameo in this movie. In that, when Rose is looking up, like, prospects for the NBA.
Okay.
Like, in the middle of the screen, one of the, like, random basketball players is him.
I didn't even notice that.
Well, to be fair, it's so small. It is, like, an image of him, like, dunking a basket, I think.
Okay.
And, like, he's wearing an outfit and all that. Like, it's so hard to tell it's him. But it is him. And that is his only cameo in the movie.
I'm glad they did, though. To be fair, I feel like this is a missed opportunity to do East-West High references. I feel like if every one of those basketball characters was named after the East High football characters from the Key and Peele sketches, I would love that. I've showed you that sketch. All right.
I mean, I do think, like, with as much comedy as there was in the movie, and because the previous movie they were involved in was just straight out a comedy.
Oh yeah.
I imagine, like, boy, Jordan Peele must have spent so much effort forcing himself to not put in, like, so many bits.
I imagine how much he had to restrain himself.
Yeah. Like, that is the thing I love the most about it, that this is his, like, directorial debut, and it is such a good horror debut.
Yeah.
Like, he nailed it.
Also, I feel like Rod was his self-insert character. Like, Rod felt like his voice. It felt like that was him.
Like, from the sketches I've seen, like, Rod definitely was the only time where I was like, okay, this feels like a Key and Peele sketch.
Yeah.
Every other time, like, there are hints of it. Like, you know, a lot of sketches are based on the awkwardness of being black in a very white situation or in a very, like, uncomfortable situation.
Yeah.
I could definitely taste, like, hints of that, but in a much darker way throughout, like, anything at the house.
Yeah.
But Rod was where it was like, okay, now we're doing a cutaway gag.
Really good. Like, it also, speaking of Rose's, like, manipulation, that was such a good scene to show how, like, she manipulated him into not being able to get information out of her.
Yeah.
Where she's, like, completely twisted around on him, and he's like, you shut up, you bitch, get damn it, why hang up? Oh, Rod is amazing, the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's it. The only thing I feel like this movie, you know, had that was, like, questionable was, like, you know, the TSA stuff. Okay. It really felt like they were trying to act like the TSA aren't as bad as cops. If not, a lot of times worse. I mean, no. But maybe, you know? It depends on what, like, the fact that that 9 out of 10 times they can't tell if a bomb is being brought on a plane is pretty bad.
That's pretty bad.
That might be worse. But yeah, so other than that, like that the whole movie kept bothering me. I was like, oh, stop praising the TSA.
I do want to ask, can you think of a situation where like they definitely had to have that end scene of it seems like a cop car pulled up, but actually it's Rod?
Yeah.
Can you think of a different job that you could have had him have where he could, you know, still pull up in a cop car?
I mean, I think that's fine. I think Rod having that job is fine. I think it's just specifically them, you know, the movie having this tone of the TSA is not cops, so it's okay.
True. There is some TSA ganda.
Yeah, like Rod has a lot of, you know, TSA is great. We are awesome, and we are the best. Like also, like how did you know, you find me? Oh, I'm the TSA. And it's like, look, the TSA is terrible. But yeah, I was actually about the end. I really would have preferred, like, this ending of the movie felt weird to me. It feels like I can't really celebrate it when they didn't go and help all the other black people,
right?
Like especially like Andre and stuff. What does helping them mean exactly? Who knows? But they definitely don't want to just be a zombie forever.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like that is a little bit of the one of the again, this is my favorite horror movie of all time.
Sure.
Still got a little bit of complaints about it.
Sure.
The whole wounded deer thing and the mother thing, he didn't have to make that choice in the movie at all. Like, that felt like a big thing about his character, of that he didn't make that phone call, and that he, like, with the deer, it was unclear if he actually, what am I trying to say? Like, coup de grace the deer. I don't know a better word. What's a better word for that? That's so mean.
Double tapped?
No, that's worse. But, either way, like, they imply that he does, but they don't show it. They don't even have, like, a sound effect or anything like that. And then, so yeah, with Georgina and Walter, and it really felt like he was going to have to make a choice there.
Yeah.
And he didn't have to. And I don't know, that was kind of lame to me. Same with Rose. He didn't have to, do anything there. He just kind of left her to die.
Yeah.
And yeah, that felt a little bit weak to me. I would have, them going around and saving all those black people would be way too much to have to do in a movie.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely one of those things that you could do during the credits. Like one of those things where the credits are happening, and on the left-hand side there's just a small little box where they're just going around and helping all these other guys. Because the method, it is the flash camera. So, like,
Yeah. I guess the main thing,
and you could have the, like, oh, well, how would they know where they are? Well, how the hell would fucking Rod know where he is? He's the TSA. Do the same thing. He found because of fucking TSA. If you're going to play it for that, you can play it with all of it.
Sure. I think the main thing is that, like, the director didn't want to go for a, like, happy ending, but at the same time he didn't want to go for a, like, a lot of horror movies will also do the main character gets away and there's a problem, they know how to solve it, but then, big corporation crushes it and no, it's going to continue on forever. And I think he didn't want to do that either. But, like, he wanted a neutral ending, or, like, like, this is bad, this is still, like, going to be a problem, we're not going to address how it can be fixed. But I feel like even then, there could have been, like, one more scene that left it ambiguous or something. Like, I don't know.
Or even if they just said, like, he just said, like, we still got to help the other guys.
Yeah.
Or just, like, where are we going now? And it's like, well, we got to find Andre, I guess. Or, something like that. Because, it's just... I don't know. It left a weird taste in my mouth.
Sure. I do think, like, one or two more lines would have helped, more than an entire scene.
Yeah.
Like, just some note of, like, I need, I'm so exhausted, but I gotta tell you about this thing, or, we have to help.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like, some layer of... Because I think that would also leave it ambiguous as to, like, even if he does spill this information, can they cover it up? Like, if you want to go for the ambiguous ending.
Yeah. I feel like they definitely could have that. Or even if it was like Chris wanted to be like, let's fucking get the hell out of here. And Rod's like, what about everybody else? And then they have to, like Rod could have been the one. Or
Sure.
Either way, who knows? But, I mean, there's definitely plenty of room for a sequel if they want to do one. But
get out more.
Oh, get outer. But
stay out.
Get in.
Oh no!
They have to get in to get them out. All right, that is it for this one. Will I react to Us? Yes, probably. I don't know when. Maybe next Halloween. Maybe sooner. Maybe just next Halloween. I don't know.
No promises.
I am very lazy, so don't expect much. I'll see you guys for whatever is next. Yeah, that's it. Get the fuck out of here.